Welcome to my home. Christmas is over now, but before I pack my decorations away, I thought you'd like to see how I decorated my home this year. I've gone for a mainly red and white theme on my Christmas tree, incorporating new decorations and old. This is a new one here. It says Lockdown Christmas 2020. I've been busy making festive salt dough decorations. They look just like gingerbread with the white icing detail made with three-dimensional fabric paint. The big plastic sign behind saying Merry Christmas is a vintage find from a local charity shop. I haven't got a fairy on top of my Christmas tree this year. She's fallen down a few branches, and instead I've topped my Christmas tree with a glittery gold star. Lots of my decorations have been hand-stitched. Some were made by me and others have been bought at various craft fairs over the years. My clip-on robins came from a local supermarket, and some of my decorations are vintage from my parents when they first got married, and also from my husband before we got married. Can you see Rudolph just off to the left? I bought him in London when I went to visit with my sisters, and we went to a Christmas fair in Hyde Park. It brings back lots of happy memories. And then finally at the bottom, another little reindeer, which was stitched by a friend and given to my daughter when she was tiny. In the other corner of the room, I've got this huge basket, and it's stacked full of my Christmas magazines. Now that's Christmas over, I need to be thinking about what flower classes and craft classes I'm going to be running for the springtime. So I think this is going to be a really great opportunity to take out my Christmas magazines, put them away, and then I can start flicking through for inspiration for next year. And here really, this started off as just a dumping ground for all the bits and pieces I couldn't find a home for this year. I've got some red paper pom-poms, which I've had for years and years, and then lots of pinwheels I've made out of old wrapping paper that I've collected over the years. I've got a bit of a reputation in my family for saving the large sheets of wrapping paper and reusing them year after year. And right at the bottom of my basket, I found a newspaper article from 10 years ago, and it's really interesting to look at old magazines and things like that, just to see how fashions have changed over the years. Now, my next job is to put everything back artfully so it doesn't look like I've raided things too much. And what I decided to do is to put my huge wooden stars actually in the basket rather than having them resting behind, and then stack everything up inside as if I haven't actually touched it. And then the last thing I need to do is pick up my heavy stack of magazines, and I'm storing those upstairs on the bookshelf in my spare room. I'm pretty pleased with the way this corner turned out, and to be honest, it was just really a dumping ground, which I've tried to make a little bit prettier, and probably is something that I'll do next year too. I'm filming this video as part of the Sunday Funday challenge, which is hosted by Yanni and Diane from Deco Easy and Yvonne from the GingerChick Rehab. I'll leave a link to both their channels in the description box underneath the video, and also the playlist to the other contributors in this month's challenge. This is the view of my Christmas tree, which is reflected in our hall mirror, and I've got a growing collection of reindeers which came from our local supermarket, and underneath that a tiny little stool and an upcycle project using a glass biscuit barrel. This is one of my 4 easy DIY projects that I posted last time round, and if you haven't seen that video already, I'll link it up in the description box. On the drawer unit behind my Christmas tree, I've got my mini tree, which I made decorations for, and again, that's another video I can link for you. And then I'm just going to lean across and light the final stubs on my Advent crown. So I've been lighting these candles on each Sunday in Advent, and they've burnt down to practically nothing, but I do love the way they give a festive glow to the whole of the room. And here's a close-up shot of those Advent candles, and they're nestled in my growing collection of little Christmassy houses. So I'm starting to create a little village scene. I'm really pleased with the way this makeover turned out. So originally this was an Ikea Christmas tree. I bought it about 10 or 12 years ago, decorated it with red ribbons and some fake red poinsettia, and I just got a bit fed up with it, so I've given it a makeover in a vintage farmhouse style and then made some my own handmade decorations using beechnut husks and wooden beads. And hanging from a command hook on my wall is a red berry wreath, and this is made up of all the loose berries that I've collected over the years and gives a really simple but beautiful wreath. And this is my mantelpiece, so I've kept this candle here going for several years, and again using my fantastic candle lighter just to bring a bit of warmth and glow to the scene. And the stripy candles, I can't quite bear to light those. They were a gift from my mum several years ago for Christmas, and I just love them because they're so beautiful and I don't want them to burn down to nothing. I made the little decorative trim around the pillar candle on the glass stand in one of my Christmas Zoom classes. And if you'd like to know more about the 10 DIY projects we did in that class, do leave me a comment and I can point you in the right direction for getting hold of those videos. In my bay window, I've got another collection of Christmas decorations, a topiary tree which I made this year, a red ceramic fruit bowl with some of my jewelled Christmas decorations, a little Scandi looking house which I picked up from the charity shop this year, another candle, and that was a vintage find a couple of years ago, and then another pinwheel, this time made out of the pages of an old paperback book. And this corner over here is where I watch my Hallmark movies. So I cosied up this area with some red festive cushions, an old tartan blanket and a couple of festive books to read. The Letters from Father Christmas is brand new, absolutely beautiful book, and the Enid Blyton stories I picked up from the charity shop, and I think they look great here, just piled up, and really make this corner look really inviting. And this is my precious Christmas mug, which comes out of the loft in November each year. And on Christmas Eve, I hand washed it and I broke the handle off, but thank goodness for E6000 glue. It's fixed the handle, although I must admit I haven't actually used it for any hot drinks since. But fingers crossed it will last another year. This forest of bottle brush trees is another recent DIY, and behind me you see me lighting a candle to put into the star-shaped lantern. I've stopped using night lights. I find they burn off too quickly, so I've started collecting the stubby ends of candles and use those to put in my nightlight holders instead. So what you see me doing here is dripping a little bit of wax onto the base plate which would have held the tea light, and just get a bit of melted wax there, and then I sit the candle on it and it glues it in place. The candlelight really brings this festive scene to life. You can imagine it almost being a snowy forest that you're walking through here with my collection of bottle brush trees. And off to the side I've got a tiny diorama, the little crystal rock that's been broken open, and someone has put inside a tiny reindeer and a Christmas tree. And that was a find at a craft store a couple of years ago. I absolutely love it. This is my display area of all the things I will be making in my Christmas Zoom classes. It's the little corridor which leads from my living room through to the kitchen. You just get a sample of what I've been up to. I love this spot in my kitchen. We've got an easy chair here, and actually this little box is the linen box which my parents had when they first got married, and on top of it another DIY with a Christmas branch. This is such an easy thing to do if you wanted to decorate for Christmas. Take off a bottom branch of your tree and plant it into a flower pot, and behind that is a December the 25th wooden sign that I made. And then here's the view of my little display area from the other end, so you can see my Scandi-inspired Christmas door wreath right at the end. And then back to my living room. So this is my collection of bits and bobs on my fireplace, going with a mainly red theme. And most of the things here are charity shop finds, from the little silver birch trees through to the tiny gnome-like Father Christmas. The glass candlesticks were charity shop finds. The Christmas countdown candle, though, that was bought brand new. The refillable advent calendar, that was a charity shop find. The little Santa with the stripy hat, that was brand new, and the 2 other Father Christmases again were charity shop finds, and the stack of books at the end was a DIY that I shared in my last video, and another kind of topiary tree right at the end. And sitting on my hearth is the most amazing bunch of amaryllis. I subscribe to Freddie's Flowers and I get a delivery probably once every 3 weeks, and I think they're just absolutely fantastic. And I've put them into a very festive red jug, which again was a charity shop find last year. And here, kneeling down on my living room floor, looking up, and this is what my mantelpiece looks like. And the bunting across the bottom, I made that from scraps of fabric a few years ago. I hope you've enjoyed this tour of my house this festive season, and don't forget to check out the other videos on the Funday Sunday playlist. And I hope you've had a fabulous Christmas, and I wish you a happy and healthy New Year, and I'll see you in the next video.